सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। तो टेक्स्ट 13। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 उन्मत्त मत्त जड़वत् स्व संस्थान।
उन्मत्त जड़वत् संस्थान।
गतस्य मे वीर चिकित्सितेन।
गतस्य मे वीर चिकित्सितेन।
अर्थः कियान् भवता शिक्षितेन।
अर्थः कियान् भवता शिक्षितेन।
स्तब्ध प्रमत्तस्य च पृष्ठपेशः। Hare Krishna, please read. I just got some.
Yes, please read.
Translation from Shri Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. My dear king, you have said, you rascal, you dull, crazy fellow, I am going to chastise you, and then you will come to your senses. In this regard, let me say that although I live like a dull, deaf and dumb man, I am actually a self-realized person. What will you gain by punishing me? If your calculations is true, then I am a madman. Then your punishment will be like beating a dead horse. There will be no effect. When a madman is punished, he is not cured of his madness. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. Everyone in this material world is working like a madman under certain impressions, falsely acquired in the material conditions. For example, a thief who knows that stealing is not good and who knows that it will be followed by punishment by a king or god or by God, who has seen that thieves are arrested and punished by the police, nonetheless steal again and again. He is always obsessed with the idea that by stealing he will be happy. This is a sign of madness. Despite repeated punishments, the thief cannot give up his stealing habit. Therefore, the punishment is useless. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, if somebody would like to add or explain this verse, that would be nice. Prabhuji is now busy in the call, unfortunately, so he's not here.
Okay, I try, Mataji. Hare Krishna. You see, when Jadabhat was being chastised by the king, I was trying to scold him in many ways, as we told. Okay, sometimes the king or the management use the policy of characteristic. They sometimes they give carrot to a person or punish so that his performance improves or continues. And after that, when he thought that it was not improving, then the king then came very heavily on Bharat Maharaj and said that you are a rascal. In spite of my telling you and all that thing, you have not come to senses, you're not driving the project properly. And this means you need to be punished. Bharat Maharaj, by that time, had understood that the king doesn't know spiritually, is not very developed. But since the king, he's got the right to do it. So he told him that as you think that I'm a madman and a crazy person, you are not right. In fact, I'm a self-realized person. I'm understanding everything. And as I told all you, also that the soul is not punished. I am a soul and you cannot punish it. So where the body is concerned, this is material. This is even if you punish me, it's not going to affect me. Because it will be like beating a dead horse. Because my Atma, my soul is pure and it is above these things, punishment, etc. So it will not affect. And as for the habit of the habitual persons there, that if they are in the habit of doing a wrong thing, then any type of punishment is not going to affect it. And here what the Prabhupada has quoted in the case of a thief. If a person is in the habit of stealing, he will keep on stealing, even though he is punished time and again. Now, I remember the Russian Varangas organizer the Fizo. He was in the habit of stealing. And as much as the age of 18, he had been to prison for 2 times. But he did not change. And then he still continued to do the criminal things, not only Russia, but other countries also. Anyway, this is the latest, so I can say. That means if a person is habitual, you may do any type of punishment, try to do any type of counseling. Unless he gets the right guru who can lead him, the person is not going to change. So that is the take that despite punishment, etc., cannot be changed, and the person has to be either purified by elevated guru or he has to be punished by the God. Hare Krishna. Anybody can add to this? More views?
Which text it is?
10.13. Next verse will be 10.14.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like to read somebody? Mataji?
I'll read, Prabhu.
Okay.
Text 14. Sri Sukha Uvacha.
Vacha.
Shukovacha.
Etavad Anuvada Paribhashaya
Etavad Anuvada Paribhashaya.
Pratyudirya Munivara Upasamasila
Tyurtiya Munivara Upasamasila
Uparata Anatmaya Nimitta Upabhogena Karmara Bam.
Parata Manmaya Nimita Upabhogena Karmaram Dagam Vyapanayan
Vyapanayan Rajayanam Apitata Uvaha.
Rajayanam Api Tathovaha.
Translation and purport for His Divine Grace Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Sukadev Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, when King Rahugana chastised the exalted devotee Jadabharat with harsh words, the peaceful saintly person tolerated it all and replied properly. This hence is due to the bodily conception, and Jadabharat was not affected by this false conception. Out of his natural humility, he never considered himself a great devotee, and he agreed to suffer the results of his past karma. Like an ordinary man, he thought by carrying the palanquin, he was destroying the reactions of his past misdeeds. Thinking in this way, he began to carry the palanquin as before. Purport. An exalted devotee of the Lord never thinks that he is a Paramahamsa or liberated person. He always remains a humble servant to the Lord of the Lord. In all reverse conditions, he agrees to suffer the results of his past life. He never accuses the Lord of putting him into a distressed condition. These are signs of an exalted devotee. Tatte anukampam susamik manaha. When suffering reverse conditions, the devotee always considers that the reverse conditions are the Lord's concessions. He is never angry with his master. He is always satisfied with the position his master offers. In any case, he continues performing his duty in devotional service. Such a person is guaranteed promotion back home, back to Godhead. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, Tatte anukampam susamik shamano Bunjana evatma kritam vipakam hrid vag vapurbir vidadan namaste jiveta yo muktipade sa tayabak. My dear Lord, one who constantly waits for your costless mercy to be bestowed upon him and who goes on suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, offering your respectful obeisances from the core of his heart, he is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Hare Krishna. So, further, Sukdev Goswami is explaining how King Raghugana chastised the exalted devotee Jadabharat. And Jadabharat, being a peaceful, saintly person, tolerated it all. And he was for sure not in the bodily conception, whereas Maharaj Raghuvan was in search of this knowledge. He was a king and fully in the bodily conception, in the mode of passion, and he is in search of somebody who would be able to guide him and be a spiritual master. And so this pastime is something where once he chastises and then he realizes that he is a Brahmana who is truly self-realized. Nescience is due to the bodily conception. Out of his humility, he never considered himself a great devotee, and he was doing all of this thinking this was due to his past misdeeds, and he has to suffer the results of his past karma. I mean, this is something that we do not know as to how many births before and what is the karma that we are suffering. But to be situated in a humble condition, to think that anything that happens to us, whatever it is, like for the good or not for the good, it is due to our past misdeeds, and suffering that in humility is here exhibited by Jadabharat, and something that all of us need to follow, taking his example. And he was carrying the palanquin thinking he was destroying the reactions of his past misdeeds. So Prabhupada says in the first two lines, an exalted devotee never thinks he is a Paramahamsa or a liberated person. He always remains a humble servant of the Lord. In all reverse conditions, he agrees to suffer the results of his past life. He never accuses the Lord of putting him into a distressed condition. The Lord is the Supreme Father, and all of us, he is for sure finally the person who is going to, as he says, he carries what a devotee lacks. So when that is the condition, why would you want to put a devotee in a distressed condition? So as we surrender to the Lord ensures that we have to only suffer to the extent that we need to be punished for our past misdeeds, and never more than that. And these are the signs of an exalted devotee, where he is, whatever condition the Lord puts him, he takes it with a humility that he has to undergo this penance so that he can be reunited with the Lord. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to add to that, please? Okay, then we can read the next verse. Would somebody like to read that, please? 5.10.15.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I can read, but can you please explain? I won't be able to explain today.
Sure, Mataji.
I can read though. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Number 15. Sa chapi pandavaya sindhu saw veer pati stav jigyasayam samyak.
Sachapi.
Sorry, go ahead, Ji.
Tata Pipandaveya Sindhu Savir Patis
Sayam Samyak
Samyak
Samyak Shraddha Adhikrita Adhikar Satad Drid Dridya Granthi Mochanam
Samyak Shraddhaya Adhikrita Adhikaraha Tat Hridaya Granthi Mochanam Dvijavachaha.
Dvijavachaha Ashruta Bahu Yoga Granth Sammamatam Tvaryavarudhya
Bahu Yoga Grantha Sammatam
Shirsa Padmulam Uprasit Kshamapayan Vigtrina Pade Vasme Uvacha.
Shiradada Moolam Apasarita Kshama Payan Vigata Nirupa Devasmaya Uvacha.
Translation by Prabhupada Ji Ki Jai. Sukadev Goswami continued, O best of Pandu dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Sindhu and Savera states, Maharaja Raghuna had great faith in discussions of the absolute truth. Being thus qualified, he heard from Jad Bharat that philosophical presentation which is approved by all scriptures on the mystic yoga process and which slackens the knot in the heart. His material conception of himself as a king was thus destroyed. He immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat on the ground with his hand at the lotus feet of Jad Bharat in such a way that he might be excused for his insulting words against the great Brahmana. He then prayed as follows. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Lord Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarasya vidu sa kale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost. Through the disciplic succession, the royal order was on the same platform as great saintly persons, Raj Rishis. Formerly, they could understand the philosophy of life and knew how to train the citizens to come to the same standard. In other words, they knew how to deliver the citizens from the entanglement of birth and death. When Maharaj Dashrath ruled Ayodhya, the great sage Vishwamitra once came to him to take away Lord Ramchandra and Lakshman to the forest to kill a demon. When the saintly person Vishwamitra came out to the court of Maharaj Dashrath, the king, in order to receive the saintly person, asked him, Ahishtam yat tat punar janma jayaya. He asked the sage whether everything was going on well in his endeavor to conquer the reputation of birth and death. The whole process of Vedic civilization is based on this point. We must know how to conquer the reputation of birth and death. Maharaj Rahuguna also knew the purpose of life. Therefore, when Jad Bharat put the philosophy of life before him, he immediately appreciated it. This is the foundation of Vedic society. Learned scholars, brahmanas, saintly persons, and sages who were fully aware of Vedic purpose advised the royal order how to benefit the general masses, and by their cooperation, the general masses were benefited. Therefore, everything was successful. Maharaj Rahuguna attained this perfection of understanding the value of human life. Therefore, he regretted his insulting words to Jad Bharat and immediately descended from his palanquin and fell down at the lotus feet of Jad Bharat in order to be excused and to hear from him further about the values of his life known as Brahma Jigyasa, inquiry about the absolute truth. At the present moment, high government officials are ignorant of the values of life, and when saintly persons endeavor to broadcast the Vedic knowledge, The so-called executives do not offer their respectful obeisance but try to obstruct the spiritual propaganda. Thus, one can say that the former kingly government was like heaven and the present government is like hell. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So you see, this is Vedic culture. Everything is objective. I mean, we should not think that Vedic culture is some kind of a wishy-washy sentimental culture. You know, people were like, we talk about Indian culture. We always say, oh, Indian culture is like this, Indian culture is like that. What we have now is nonsense culture. It is just some sentimental hodgepodge, which, you know, is kind of labeled as Indian culture. Real culture, the Vedic culture is that the real Vedic culture is objective. Everything is very precise. For example, if you have a car has a proper objective to fulfill. You know, the car is supposed to, you know, fulfill its function of transporting you from point A to point B. It could be nice or anything. But suppose if the wheels are broken, you know, there's no engine. What are you going to do with the car? You're not going to sit and admire its beauty or love it or sit inside it. It's useless. So present society is like that. The present society is like a car without an engine. We are just living for the sake of living. Oh, we are Indian. And if you ask anyone what is Indian culture, like especially in the West, when I ask people, what do they think about Indian culture? The only thing that comes to their mind is Bollywood and weddings. So they think that Indians are apparently always singing songs and getting married. That's about it. I mean, that's an unfortunate reality because we Indians also think the same way. We really don't have any conception of what is our real purpose. If we think that we are scientifically and technologically backward, we just cover it up by the term culture. You know, the West is very degraded. At least we have culture. Well, that is all nonsense that we have. That is not culture. Real culture is objective culture. The purpose of human life is to realize the supreme. That's it. And that is the culture. So you see here, Jada Bharat was dressed like a beggar. He was unclean. We can also understand that he was unclean. When Srila Shukadeva Goswami mentions that Jada Bharat's Brahma Jyoti, his spiritual effulgence could not be seen, we can also understand that his body must be covered with dirt because he was not following any rules and regulations of the society. So we can understand that he was not even taking baths properly. So his effulgence was covered, meaning his body was looking terrible. Actually, when Vyasadeva came to meet the queens of Vichitraveer, at that time his appearance was so obnoxious that one of the princesses, Amba, she closed her eyes. Ambalika, she turned yellow. So we can see that his appearance must have been frightening. So that's how a Vaishnava actually is. It's not that Vaishnavas are handsome looking. No, genuine sadhus are not really good looking in their appearance. But we see, even with such an appearance, and Maharaj Rahugana, as we see that he was so vain about his position as a king, he must have been very well dressed. But because the whole social system was objective, Maharaj Rahugana was also an objective person. As soon as he understood that Jada Bharat is a spiritually enlightened soul, he immediately surrendered. He immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat on the ground with his head at the lotus feet of Jada Bharat in such a way that he might be excused for his insulting words against the great Brahmana. So that is the position. So that is Vedic culture. Now, see, the whole purpose of human life is to realize the supreme. Anything, anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam. Whatever helps us is good, whatever doesn't help us is bad. So, so in this way, Maharaj Rahugana surrendered. Now, today's society, if we see, actually forget about, I mean, here Prabhupada is talking about the government. The government is absolutely atheistic demons. But even in our society, we see that people take spiritual master so lightly. Oh, he's my spiritual master. So what, like? Or Prabhupada has written, but, you know, this but itself is the but that stops us from going back to Godhead. Because the conclusion of the Acharyas is very simple. Chakshudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu shai. One who's giving us spiritual knowledge, he's our master. Janme janme prabhu shai. There is no question of questioning the integrity of the spiritual master. No, once we are convinced that he is bona fide, then there's no question of doubting his instructions. Srila Prabhupada's instructions are so comprehensive, it'll take us at least 50 years to understand what he has spoken. So, there's no question of doubting him. If you have some doubt in your heart regarding Prabhupada's teachings, just search a little bit. Nowadays with the help of Google, you can search everything. Srila Prabhupada's instructions are there in Vedabase, Folio, Prabhupada books. Just Google a little bit, and somewhere or the other, you will find all your doubts getting clarified. I have tried it myself. I have experimented myself. And somehow or the other, all your doubts will be answered by Srila Prabhupada himself. So, in this way, we can understand that we should always surrender to the spiritual master. That's the real objective. And that's the real concern. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments?
Guruji,
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
My only, not a comment, is I'm bewildered. Once we accept a spiritual master, what makes us doubt it?
Oh.
Either we accepted him in the present fashionable way, either got a spiritual master. Otherwise, spiritual master we should accept after a careful consideration of every aspect.
Yes.
As I said in Bhagavad Gita, and as you were also repeating just now, that once you surrender to him, then there's no question of criticizing or scrutiny of material messages, etc. I'm of the view that whatever the spiritual master says, it should be accepted in toto.
Correct.
Maybe you may not be understanding that clarification you can ask from him. But questioning that is out of question. That is, we are wasting our time, not the spiritual master's time. We are wasting our time because we are showing him that we are trusting him also while we are not trusting him.
Okay.
So
now that you raised this point, actually, I would also like to answer you because this question has a deeper meaning actually. And there's a warning also for us here. Actually, it's not at all very surprising. If you have studied books very carefully, you will not be surprised at this. In Nectar of Instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami is warning us. She says, when we practice spiritual life, when we start practicing spiritual life, these weeds also grow along with the creeper of devotion. So these weeds are desire for wealth, desire for sex, desire for pratishtha, kanak kamini pratishtha, desire for fame, recognition. So when these weeds are growing, these weeds, they put doubts in our heart. At the same time, Maya will also trick us. I have also gone through the same situation many times when I was left questioning Srila Prabhupada's teachings. But somehow or the other, like Krishna is so merciful that somehow he corrects us and we come back. So in the sense that, not doubting Prabhupada's teachings, but so many devotees, especially I'll tell you very honestly, so many of my godbrothers were telling me, oh, what Prabhupada has given is not very accurate. We need to know something more. This is basic knowledge. You need more advanced knowledge. This kind of nonsense. There is one big Maharaj who's there's one sannyasi, Narayan Maharaj actually. He put so many doubts in people's heads. Oh, your Bhaktivedanta Swami has given only basic knowledge. He's only a devotee of Narayan. By following him, you will not go back to Godhead. You will not go back to Golok. So he put so many doubts in people's minds. So many devotees left Prabhupada. And this is a very serious matter. It's not something to be taken lightly. It's not that we suddenly we suddenly become doubtful. No, these doubts slowly creep up. Maya acts on our weaknesses. So we have to be very, very cautious. So in the process of bhakti, that's why we must stay close to each other and to senior devotees.
Correct.
And every time we have a doubt, we should ask questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So anyone else has any question or something? Okay, then we continue. Text 16. Kastum nigudashcharasi dvijanam
Kasvam
Niguras
Charita Dvijana
Vichanam
Vibharshi sutram katamo vadhutar
Vivasi
Vivasi
Sutram
Sutram
Uttam
Patamo
Vidyata
Vadutta
kasyasi kutratya ihapi kasmat
Kasyat
Yasi Putrasya Ihapi Kasmat
Hemaya naschedasi nota shukla.
Kashmaya
Shemaya Nashchetasi Nota Shuklaha.
Yes,
Mary.
please. Yes, please.
Okay. Translation proposed by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. King Rahuguna said, O Brahman, you appear to be moving in this world, very much covered with unknown to others. We are, who are, yes, yeah. Sorry. Who are you? Are you a learned Brahmin and saintly person? I see that you are wearing a sacred thread. Are you one of those exalted, liberated saints, such as Dattatreya and other highly advanced learned scholars? May I ask whose disciple you are? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? Is your mission in coming here is to do good for others? Please let me know who you are. Purport. My Raguna was very anxious to receive further enlightenment in Vedic knowledge because he could understand that Jad Bharat belonged to a Brahmin family, either by disciplic succession or by the birth, as the Brahmin dynasty. As stated in Vedas, Tad Vijnanatham Sa Gurunam Ev Gaichere. Raghunath was accepting Jad Bharat as a guru, but a guru must prove his position not only by wearing a sacred thread, but by advancing knowledge in spiritual life. It is also significant that Raghunath asked Jad Bharat which family he belonged. There are two types of families, one according to dynasty and the other according to the disciplic succession. In other way, one can be enlightened. The word Sukh means a person in the mode of goodness. If one wants to receive spiritual knowledge, he must approach a bona fide Brahmanic guru, either in the disciplic succession or in a family of learned Brahmins. Thank you, Guruji. Dhanavad.
Hare Krishna. Tat vijnanartham sa gurum evavigache. So one who comes in a disciplic succession, he's a guru. So, so now you see, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti de jnanam jnanina tattvadarshina. Now, Maharaj Rahuguna can understand that Maharaj, that Jad Bharat is tattvadarshi. So therefore he is inquiring, who are you? Are you a learned Brahmana and saintly person? May I ask whose disciple are you? Where do you live? Why have you come to this place? So you see, actually, we should ask a lot of pertinent questions. We should be very sure of who we are accepting as a guru, because we are going to surrender our life. So many times, like within our movement also, people come and say, oh, I want so and so guru. Why? Because I belong to this community and he comes in my community. or why do you want this guru? Oh, because he has many disciples. This is all nonsense. This is not the reason to take a guru. One takes guru for two reasons. One should take guru for the reason that one wants to become free from material nature. When one is ready to surrender his life completely, then one should accept a guru. And once one has decided like this, then he must test the guru. Is the guru coming in proper lineage, spiritual and bodily? So actually in Vedic scriptures, both the lineages are very important. the spiritual as well as the seminal. Seminal relation means the family of the Guru. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that a Guru must come in a proper lineage. For example, he mentions that our spiritual master, Jayom Vishnupad Paramhans Parivrajacharya Ashtottar Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Goswami Thakur came in the family of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Likewise, we had the good fortune to take birth in a family where my father was a Vaishnava right from the very beginning, and therefore we got this. Therefore, we got this sanskar to worship Radha and Krishna. So this is also important, especially for Acharya, because you are going to surrender your life. It's not that you can take initiation fashionably. No. So that is only once in your entire material existence, you're going to take the Guru. So therefore, it has to be done in a proper manner. And here Maharaj Raghugana is showing how exactly one accepts a Guru. Because he seemed to be coming in a great lineage as well as he was self-realized. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments? Text 17. Naham Vishanke Sura Raja Vajran.
Aham
No.
Vishanke Suraka
Naha
Chavacharam.
Vasanka.
Na Triyaksha Shulan Na Yamasya Dandat.
Sulam Yaman Dandat.
Nagnarka Soma Nila Vitta Pastrach.
Nagitamanila Pastra.
Vitapata.
Thanke Bhrasham Brahma Kulavamana.
Shanke Pritham Brahma Kula Vamana.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace from Prabhupada. Translation. My dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of Kuvera. Yet I am afraid of offending a Brahmana. I am very much afraid of this. Purport. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was instructing Rupa Goswami at the Dashwamedha Ghat in Prayag, he pointed out very clearly the seriousness of offending a Vaishnava. He compared the Vaishnava Aparadha to Hathi Mata, a mad elephant. When a mad elephant enters a garden, it spoils all the fruits and flowers. Similarly, if one offends a Vaishnava, he spoils all his spiritual assets. Offending a Brahmana is very dangerous. And this was known to Maharaj Raghugana. He therefore frankly admitted his fault. There are many dangerous things: thunderbolts, fire, Yamaraj punishment, the punishment of Lord Shiva's trident, and so forth. But none is considered as serious as offending a Brahmana like Jadabharat. Therefore, Maharaj Raghugana immediately descended from his palanquin and fell flat before the lotus feet of the Brahmana Jadabharat just to be excused. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What is Vaishnava Aparadha? We hear so much about it. The offenses committed out of pride and this thing and envy, that is an aparadha. Especially those offenses which stop a Vaishnava from preaching, which are intended to disturb his activities, his mind. They are serious aparadha. Actually, Srila Prabhupada was very insistent on this. Vaishnava aparadha is very serious. That doesn't mean that we should not correct each other, but we should correct only when one is receptive. So many times devotees, try to show each other down. That is actually Vaishnava aparadha. That is all Vaishnava aparadha. When we say, oh, such and such devotees like this, I don't want this and that, I don't like him, that is also Vaishnava aparadha. See, Srila Prabhupada explains that in the rainy season, the waters of Ganga are muddy and foamy. So it looks dirty. But it is Ganga. If someone takes Achaman of that water, he will still be purified. So a conditioned Vaishnava is also like that. So in due course of our daily activities, when we come across situations where Vaishnavas are doing something wrong, so especially if it is related to the Siddhanta, like, preaching and others, we should correct it. We should point out this is right, this is wrong. But we should not harbor any personal grudges against anyone. especially if Vaishnavas criticize each other out of envy, then Krishna doesn't take that kindly at all. Krishna will kick such a person out of bhakti. So we have to be extremely careful. Hathi mata aparadh. Hathi mata, mad elephant offense. A mad elephant destroys everything. Envy for a Vaishnava will destroy our life. When we see, especially when we have no reason to hate a Vaishnava, we should not hate Vaishnava for any reason actually. But especially like suppose, we see that sometimes a Vaishnava has caused us some personal harm or something and we feel something bad. That is still excusable. But if someone is engaged in innocent activities and we become envious out of his progress or something, and then we start criticizing or abusing, then Krishna will punish us heavily. Then we'll not see Krishna, we're going to see Yamraj. Actually, worse than Yamraj. It is mentioned in Garuda Purana that then such a person will see Yamraj in an angry mood. Yamraj, Chitragupta and all the other associates are angrily shouting at such a sinner. He will get all the sins of this world and he will be punished heavily by Yamraj. So we should be very careful. We should be very, very particular about offending a Vaishnava, especially those who are engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness. Of course, a Vaishnava should never take an offense. Vaishnava should not go hunting for offenses. Hey, so-and-so said something, I don't like it, I am offended. That is not a Vaishnava. We see the mood of Jadabharat. He was called a rascal and God knows what, but Jadabharat did not get angry. That is a Vaishnava. Vaishnava should not find excuses to get offended. Hey, so-and-so didn't say Hare Krishna to me, I am offended. So-and-so I don't like, he didn't make nice prasad last time, I am offended. That is nonsense. Vaishnava should not take offense and a Vaishnava should not offend others. These are all Vaishnava etiquettes. These are subtleties of Vaishnavism. So we have to understand this. In our society nowadays, people fight with each other like cats and dogs. That's not good. Please cooperate with each other. Please preach Krishna consciousness. Don't judge other devotees. Help in the mission. If you think someone is incapable, you stand up and do it. Or you advise the devotee. But don't sit there, passing gossip around. Then you will get in real trouble. Without knowing, you will be quietly in deep sea. Finished. Bhakti will be finished. In my 26 years in Bhakti, I have seen so many devotees come and go. Stalwarts, big personalities. That's all complete nonsense. I have seen Vaishnava Prad becoming too proud. There's one very prominent, god brother of mine, very famous speaker and everything. He was brilliant. So brilliant that he could memorize entire Bhagavad Gita in one sitting. Can you imagine? And this personality, he was such a charismatic preacher that he could just, make anyone on the street into Vaishnava. But today he just speaks nonsense. He became very proud of his knowledge. He became very proud of his qualification. He would, in fact, go out of his way to insult devotees. And now he's a nonsense. He's a rascal. He's just become bogus. Speaks all kinds of nonsense, but he has lost all his good sense. That is how Krishna works. You have to be very, very careful. Very, very careful. You see, Krishna will quietly, Maya will make us mad. Hathi Mata, mad, will also become mad. Pramad will overcome us. We will become even worse. If we are Vaishnava Pradhis, we will become Maha Vaishnava Pradhis. We should be very, very careful. It's only for our benefit. It's like a regulatory mechanism. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments? And we stop here today. Thank you very much. We continue text 18 tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandar Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Dandar Pranam.
Hare